What's up guys, my name is KilianK, I'm a producer right from Germany, and I know you can hear I'm from Germany. My English isn't that clean and proper spoken, but I hope I will improve it the next 2 weeks. It's like so many months ago I talked English, so it's really weird for me to talk it right here. But I'm going to start posting videos every week, how I make my songs, my remixes, make some challenges, I don't know, give some tips and feedback and a question. I just want to talk with you guys and help you guys out. I'm not like the top producer in the world, but I think I'm starting to be kind of good. I still have some ideas who are pretty shit, but I'm kind of good right now that I can help people who are just starting out. And that's why I started this YouTube channel, so we all can improve together, and I hope you can learn something from today and maybe get some inspiration if you can get over my English. But as I said, I will improve my English in the next videos. So today I'm going to talk about my Dance Monkey remix from Tones and I, which got quite a lot of good feedback over the last weeks on SoundCloud and YouTube. I'm going to talk about the break today. Next week we are going to look at the drop, and then I'm going to show you how I mix and master and also how I made the extended mix, so you know everything I did in this project. If you haven't listened to the remix yet, it's right at the first link in the description. But for instance, here's a short preview of my track.
Dance for me, dance for me, dance for me, oh, oh. I've never seen anybody do that thing you do before.
Yeah, so now I hope you got the idea of the track and how it sounds. We're going through the break today, and I know it's my first video, please don't kill me. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. These videos aren't for totally beginners because I'm talking a little bit nerd stuff and I'm going fast over the plugins I use. But if you are interested in some beginner tutorials, just write it down in the comments and I will be happy to answer your questions and help you out in the next videos. So let's get started. I started with the vocal here. And the vocal, how do I get my vocals? That's no secret, I just searched it on YouTube.
Oh my God, I see the way you shine.
As you can hear, it's like the original vocal, and you always have to make sure if you make an unofficial remix that you pitch something down or up so you can upload it on YouTube. So I started with some effects. It sounded like this before.
They say, oh my God,
And after it sounded like this.
they say, oh my God, I see the way you shine.
What I did, I started with these effects on the vocal chain. Started with a little alter boy. It's just like a plugin. You can increase the
They
pitch.
say, oh my God, I see the way
And
you
the
shine.
format is kind of the character of the sound, and I really like the dark club vibes. So I thought to myself, I wanted to pitch it down, but not like the key of the track, just like the character of the sound. You can imagine it like more female and more male.
They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine.
And I started just pitching it down 2 semitones, cutted the low frequencies out of the vocal because we need the low frequencies for the fat bass in the drop. I also used like Vocal Synth is another great plugin where I made the vocals sound like this.
They say, oh my God, I see the way you
Yeah, you're right, it sounds really like shit. I just had it like in the background for like not 100% is like this.
They say, oh my
I just had it there for like 40%.
They say, oh
You can't really hear the difference, but in the end, if you always add something small to your sound, in the end all these small things get to a bigger thing, and I don't know, I think you know what I mean. The sound just gets fuller and fuller, and that's what I did here. After the vocal synth, I used some, of course, some echo in the stereo field on your headphones, right and left, just panning in the background. You can't really hear it much, but there's a little bit of difference. This is before,
They say, oh my God,
and this is after.
they say, oh my God.
You can hear like left and right that it's delaying a little bit. The most important thing on the vocal is of course the reverb. I actually didn't sidechain it to the vocal in this track. I just put on the standard fruity reverb. Also a kickstart on like 20% just to get like this head nod feeling.
They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine.
So now I had the vocals and I thought like, oh, it's kind of empty in the spaces here.
See the way you shine.
So I started cutting up the vocal and made my own delay out of it, which sounded like this.
The way you shine. Take your hand, my dear, and place them both in mine. You know
I just cut it up the vocal and put it on a new track in the mixer where I put a lot of effects right here. You can see it here. It's kind of the same effect as the original vocal. I just added another EQ and cut it the highs just to have it like in the middle of the mix. I took a much more reverb to get it in the background of the mix. I had the stereo shaping to the side, and also the volume I put down quite a lot on minus 10 dB just so it's in the background. Without the volume it will sound like this.
you shine.
But if you put it down like 10 dBs, it's so nice in the background and smooth. It just added a lot to the track. After this, I started with some rhythm element. Actually, normally I always use claps,
God, I see the way you shine.
but I found this sample sounded like this, and I just added it in the song.
See the way you shine. Take your hand.
And actually I thought like, oh wow, it's kind of cool. So I made some effects, like I colored the low frequencies again, some much reverb, really much reverb. 2 times. I don't know why I did that. It worked, I guess. And after this, it sounded like this.
Oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hand, my dear, and place them both in mine.
And then accidentally I put 2 of them here and it sounded quite cool, so I just let it there. Because I don't know, the groove was kind of cool, so I just thought to myself like, wow, amazing. After that, it was time to make some melody going on. I started with a re-space. I think it's my bass too. Let me just check. Yeah, it's my bass. I don't know if you can see this, but user KilianK presets. It's a re-space 2. I did it myself. It's kind of a standard sound, I don't know, but I put in the notes F sharp, E and C. And with the bass, it sounded like this. And that was kind of lame to me. The bass needed some extra stuff going on because we just have the bass in the break. So I started to automate the pitch bend, which you can hear right here. We just take the bass. I just automated the pitch of the bass just to give it some movement. And also I have this free plugin on the bass. Let me just check. It's called Tape Stop. It's free. You can download it for free. And then I just created like this tape stop effect. This is going down, you know. So with the percussion and the vocal, it started to sound kind of good. I really liked it. At this point, I also knew I wanted to go in the deep house kind of section. So I know there isn't much going on in the break here. We just needed atmospheric elements. I hope this is right. I have no idea. So I started with some reverses like this. I think this is the same one. Yes. And then I had ambient sounds. More reverse. I had these going on. And every ambient sound is kind of the same processing. It's just like a low cut, cutting out the low frequencies, all with reverb and putting the volume down a lot. So it's just there in the background. On some I also made some stereo separation, but that's not so much important. Obviously I have some transitions. This one, I have this reverse again, crash. The normal crash, and then the sweep transition. And yeah, together it sounds like this without the vocal and without the bass and without the percussion. This is just the ambience. Also I added this one. It's kind of a trick I use often. It's a fire sample. I don't know if you can hear that. It sounds like this. I just looped it. It gives like the crackle sound. I put a kickstart on it to get this head knocking feel. I added the low frequencies, put the volume down just in the background. Also a little bit in mono here. So you can't really hear it, but it adds like this crisp in, I don't know, in the background. I really like it. I do it like in every track of mine. And if you put all the sounds together, it sounded like this in the start. So I just repeated the same thing here in the second part. And here it started to get like more bass heavy. I introduced the drop bass, which I'm going to talk about in the next video, how I made the bass, how I find the preset, how I make my bass, how I mix my bass. So I'm not talking about it right here, but this is the drop bass. I thought to myself I had to introduce it right now because it would get lame if I just repeated this again. So I had this. Let me just check. And it was kind of weak, so I thought I need more punch in the bass. I just added like a kick. It sounded like this. Yeah, it's actually the drop kick, and layered it on the 1, the 3, and the 1 again, just on the bass notes. So it sounded like this together. You can really hear like the punch. After that, I thought to myself we had to do some reverse. After this, I thought to myself I need to reverse something so we get sucked in the next sound. I don't know how to explain this properly, but I just made these reverses. And added a big reverse on top of it. Yeah, you can see my head is nodding the whole time because I really feel this track. Then I also added like 2 shakers. Important to say is that they are different shakers. And I put them both on different mixer channels. Panned 1 to the right, 1 to the left. Always some kickstart, and I cut out the low frequencies. And if we put out the bass and the vocal, there's not much going on except for the new shaker and the reverses I added. With the bass, it sounded like this. And then on the second part of the build-up, I just looped the bass, like, let me show you, oops, this part here. I just loop it here. I looped it and rendered it out, so it sounded like this. And then I pitched it up in the end here. The same thing I did with the kick. I just looped the kick and then made it faster and faster and low-cutted the low frequencies out of it. A reverse, of course. The same reverse I had in the whole song. Then I had like the percussion sounds. I also looped them and pitched them up. Yeah, that's kind of the only thing. I also did my own snare because normally you can just use like some kind of, you can just drag in a sample and you have your own build-up snare, but I thought to myself like, oh, everyone does that, so I made my own build-up snare, which sounds like this. Which also starts before the second part of the build-up to make you ready for the build-up itself. It's kind of our own transition with a snare I did here. Also on the snare, I always do the same processing on the snare, I guess. I just put it on the mixer channel again. Yeah, low cut and some OTT, just like 30%. This is without effects. And this is with. It's just like a little bit crisp in the high end you get from this. And yeah, that's kind of the build-up here. That's the drop, we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, and in the second break, I actually didn't do much. In the start of the next break or next verse, we have the drop continuing. I'm just not going to talk about it now, so you will have to tune in next week. But after that, I just copied the first break over because there was no point in making a new break. It's actually like 100% the same, the same break. So I just copied in the break here, no difference. And that's how I made the break. If you're wondering why it's not like sounding like the original, it's because I didn't put on the master. This is how it sounds without the master. And this is with. You can hear my computer can't handle it, but I'm talking about the master in the upcoming weeks. So guys, that's it for today, how I made the break. If you have some questions and feedback for my first English video, please leave them down in the comments. I would be so glad if you just leave down some comments like how I can improve the videos and what you want to know, so I can answer your questions in the next video. In the description there's my Instagram link where you can follow me and ask me some questions about what you want to know. Nothing much to say right now, so we're gonna see us next week. Stay tuned, I hope you have a nice day and bye bye.
Dance for me, oh, oh. I've never seen anybody do that thing you do before.